Mr. Seibert?
Okay, sorry.
Mayor, I'd just like to thank Mark and Leslie and staff for their efforts to bring this information to council in a clear and concise way. It was a lot of work. We've had a number of meetings, lots of discussion, and I just want to thank those involved very much for their work. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Scarce?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend this council bill to remove item number 560-7426 from the account it's in and place it in account number 500-7426.
You've lost me, Mr. Scarce. Can you tell me where we're at?
We're on page 138, 137.
Are you looking at the budget?
I have it right here.
Where are we? Ms. Jones will have to give us the implications of that move.
I think Mr. Scarce could probably explain what he's talking about.
I'll
while
explain
she's
if you'd
looking.
like
Please
me
do.
to. This removes the funding of the Joplin Sports Authority, places in the council budget so that the city manager can then determine where he wants to place the promotion of sports of Joplin in this community.
So what's our motion?
There is a problem in doing that in the fact that the hotel motel tax funds that.
I understand that they do.
From an accounting standpoint, hotel motel tax is a revenue of the Convention and Visitor Bureau fund.
I understand that. And I'm not saying do away with it, I'm just saying place it in this account until the city manager determines how he would like for the city of Joplin to do sporting, the sports
We have
programming in
a
this
standing
community.
agreement with the Joplin Sports Authority that would require notice, and we would still have to make the payments.
You owe from 90 days notice, is that correct?
No, it was 6 months, was it not?
That's
Brian?
not correct either. That was all changed in December of,
Yes.
of 2009. That the only way that that happens now is if the council fails to appropriate funds for the Joplin Sports
That's
Authority.
exactly what he's proposing,
That's what I'm
isn't it?
proposing.
He
You're
wants
proposing to
from
remove
the
it.
budget and not appropriate funds. That's his motion.
And place it in the council budget until the city manager determines where he wants sports promotion in this community to be located.
That is the motion.
So the
Okay.
implication is then that the contract with the JSA would then be broken because there would be no appropriation for the JSA.
You got it right.
Additionally, you would place that burden of expense without any offsetting revenue in the general fund.
Well, you can place it wherever you want to place it. I mean, somebody wants to amend to place it someplace else, that's fine, but, you know, I'm putting it
wherever-
in the council budget right now.
Wherever you're going to place it outside of the CVB fund will mean there are no matching revenues.
My proposal would be to place it in account number 507426, which is not a non-existent account in the city council budget that would then be appropriated someplace else at a point in time where a recommendation comes from the city manager. That's my motion. Nobody's
Mayor?
seconded it, so I guess it's not. It's been seconded?
You need a second.
Did somebody second that?
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Scarce, a second by Ms. Rainey, that the funds for the JSA basically be withdrawn and placed under city manager control, whatever the appropriate account numbers are. Further discussion?
Mayor?
Mr. Shaw? I believe you-
Go ahead, Mr.
Go ahead,
Seibert.
you're fine.
Mayor, I'm a little bit confused. Evidently, this decision has been researched by Mr. Scarce, and Dr. Rosenberg seems to know about it, and it seems like this whole side of the council knows about it. I thought this was the council that discussed things like this, and we made a decision on it. I think we're being sideswiped here without knowing about it. I'd like to know why we're doing that and why there's a need for doing that. And maybe I'll agree, but at this point, I think that part of the council has made a decision for the rest of the council, and I'm not in favor of that.
Mr. Seibert?
I'm just curious to know how the commitments and things that the Sports Authority has made, how we propose to run this board. I know that a number of people who sit on the Sports Authority have a passion for this, but they also feel that this is This should be a separate entity of the city. And once this goes into place, if it would pass, which obviously it wasn't brought up tonight, it was brought up tonight because it can pass, foregone conclusion. I think you're going to have a number of people walking away from this sports authority that have a lot of connections and influence in sports marketing in this area. I think council needs to sit back and think long and hard, because we've just come off an incredibly successful marathon, and the sports authority and its connections and its legwork were integral in the success of the marathon. And I think in one fell swoop, this is a short-sighted action for a different agenda. And I would encourage those that are considering this to reconsider and view what the Sports Authority does and how they do it in a positive way, moving forward, as opposed to cut them down and lose a lot of relationships, a lot of commitments that have been in place for a long time.
May I respond?
Mr. Scarce?
Back when the Sports Authority desired to be separate from the city, primary reason was so that they could raise outside money. The city at the time that they left was raising $60,000, and they were a part of the city. At the time they left was raising $60,000 a year from outside sales. The following year they raised 10. The third year they dropped to 2. Their most recent report shows $19,000, which is an increase, but certainly nowhere near the $60,000 that they had when they were located under the umbrella of the city of Joplin.
Well, and I can
That
tell you,
was their, may
Go
I
ahead.
finish? That was their reason for wanting to stop. I'm not proposing to do away with sports promotion in this community. I am proposing that sports promotion in this community become a part of the city of Joplin and not an independent agency that has no ties nor restrictions to the city of Joplin, except that we provide them with $260,000 a year, and then they go out and spend it however they see fit. I don't have a problem with them sports promotion in Joplin. I think when it was here before, there was some problems. I think some of those problems have been arised, and now I'm ready, and I think a majority of this council are ready for sports promotion to come back under the umbrella of the city of Joplin rather than being an independent agent. And I'm not saying you have to do away with any of those commitments. They can still be honored, but you're acting like they won't be honored. They certainly will be honored. The city manager is the city manager of the city. I'm not proposing that we not promote sports at all. I'm certainly proposing that we do. I'm an advocate of sports, but I'm an advocate of sports being promoted in the right way.
it was my understanding that there were issues, and Brian, you might be able to help us here. There are issues and things that the Sports Authority and decisions they make that being back under the city limits them and restricts them.
That's true. A lot of them were, a lot of their complaints were dealing with travel and some of the promotions that they were doing. I know at the time that all of that was going on, there was also some potential tax benefits, I think, that they talked about at the time. But I mean, I don't know specifically what you're referring to.
Well, I've heard discussions regarding, and you know, that's another thing that frustrates me, that we're bringing this up, as Councilman Shaw says, kind of blindsided, because I'm not prepared to debate this as much as I would if I'd have known you were going to bring this up, but I think that was your point. You know, I think that, to your point, the outside revenue is being addressed by the executive committee of the Sports Authority, and it is currently being addressed. Council gave Brian, was it a 3-year extension to the Sports Authority contract, and it's been how long now have we gone into it, a year?
I think we just started on the extension.
How long has the Sports Authority been in existence on its own?
I couldn't answer that.
3 years.
I can answer that.
3 years.
While she's looking that up, Mr. Shaw, go ahead.
Leslie had something she wanted to add, I think, then.
Yeah, just 1 minute. It's been Must have been 2007, because they're not in the budget anymore. We go back to 2008. I'm going to make a comment that is a finance comment. It is not a political comment. If you're going to move $200 and some odd thousand to the general fund, you've got to have an offsetting revenue. And you can transfer CVB funds to the general fund. So my only advice, if you're going to move something to the general fund, please move revenue with it, or take it out altogether. Or the other choice is, if this budget, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, if this budget as it sets forth does not pass, it passes anyway, is that correct?
If there is no budget that is passed by the council tonight on an emergency basis, there is no budget standing before this city.
But if it's not
Except for the budget that has been proposed by the city manager
Exactly.
prior to your issues and options. So if this comes down to a vote of 5-4, with Mr. Scarce's motion included, there will not be a budget passed by this council prior to the end of October as required by the charter, in which case the city manager's budget that was proposed prior to your issues and options and all of those other funding items that you included in the budget will also go away.
Mr. Shaw.
Mayor, my only concern is this, at this point, is that I really feel that the decision needs to be made by the council, and I don't feel the council was informed. I may agree with some of the things that Mr. Scarce is talking about, but I think we need to discuss it and have an opportunity for the council to make the decision, not because we're setting a precedent where if I want something, I go out and find 4 other votes and get it done, and that eliminates the process of how this organization is supposed to work. I think we need to sit down and throw out the facts and then make a decision. Going back to, you and I were both on the council when the decision was made to allow the Sports Authority to go. And if I remember right, we hassled over that, Mr. Scarce, for a long time. And I'm not sure that everybody that felt comfortable with it. But supposedly, there were some items that were brought up. In fact, the main thing is that their ability to raise funds outside, additional funds and so forth. I think it's well within our right to look and see if that's actually been done. And if that's not happening, then we can adjust it. But I don't think this is the way for us to do it.
May I respond?
Certainly.
The reason this is brought up at this time is that I had a conversation with Mr. Head, the city attorney, and he indicated that if we did not amend the budget at this point in time, tonight, this was in the budget and could not be taken out. So you're looking at not being able to do anything about it. Am I right, Brian?
No.
Wait a
No,
minute.
the budget could be amended. The difference
At any
was
time.
if you defund the sports authority after the money has been appropriated for the year, you then have all of the liability that they have taken on for that year. The only way that the council can not be in the contract with the sports authority, and this is what I told you and I provided the language specifically, was that if the council failed during the budget process and in the budget to appropriate funds for the sports authority, that was the only way that the council or the city could be out of that contract. An amendment to the budget is certainly within the purview of the council. However, as I just stated, unless this council bill passes with 6 votes, it is ineffective because it is an emergency bill. The charter requires that a budget be passed by the council prior to the end of October. If actually by the second meeting in October, if you don't pass a budget tonight, at this meeting, the city manager's budget, as presented to you during the public hearing, becomes the budget. With the Sports Authority funding and without all of the things in it that the council has approved.
Thank you. The one other, Mr. Shaw, addressing your question about why they got out, why they were, because they wanted to be able to raise additional funds. And as I stated in my motion, they did not do that. The first year out, they raised $10,000 of a $60,000 the year before. Last year, the number was $2,000. This year, the number is $19,000. And they're certainly not, in my mind, they were not going in the right way. The other reason they wanted to be out is so they could provide alcohol to people. That was stated. That's not a secret. And I don't see why that has to be the deciding factor on $260,000.
Mr. Rosenberg, Dr. Rosenberg.
That's fine, either way. Thank you, Mayor. As some of you know, or many of you know, or a few of you know, I met with the Sports Authority in July or August of this year with a proposal to defund them at that time, and I met with their president. After that, I decided, okay, back off. Let them have a little room, but I said a short rope. His answer to me at that time was, boy, we can't wait till you get those softball fields built so we can take the tournaments. Well, guys, we're $350,000 in the hole every year on our sports complex. We've got to run something ourselves, not the Sports Authority. They then tried to usurp our authority on whom we appoint to their board. They then tried to take over the 10-10 run. They had very little to do with it. It wasn't their idea. It wasn't their planning. Yes, they did help. I don't say they didn't help, but it's not theirs to take over. They have become a parasitic organization, in my opinion. Now, whether we do it tonight or not, maybe we should approve the budget and then defund them if that's what we want to do. And that's what, but I have just about had it up to here with the Sports Authority, and I feel that we can spend the money better and wiser than they can. And therefore, I am in agreement that the money, that the city manager determine where it's best to do the Sports Authority and what to do. And by the way, he knew nothing about this tonight. Absolutely nothing.
Still not sure I
Mr. Shaw.
I don't want to prolong, Doc. I appreciate what you said, and I think we need to take another look at it. I think that we need to approve the budget tonight and then do that at another time, but that's just an opinion.
Mr. Glaze.
Mayor, this isn't towards Mark personally, but I'd rather have my budget that we worked on for 2 or 3 nights go into effect than the city manager's budget.
Mr. Seibert.
Just a point with Mr. Scarce. We had multiple nights of discussion of budgets where there was plenty of opportunity to engage in conversation. We even had Sports Authority people in attendance waiting for a discussion of which it never came, and now we know why. But, that would have been the appropriate time to bring those issues so the Sports Authority, when they were present, when Vince Lundstrom was present, so they could talk about, that was prior to the marathon. But Vince isn't even here tonight to defend the contributions that the Sports Authority made and the effort that was put forward. You guys act like they're some sort of a competitive agency. They are working towards the goals that are set forth in the Sports Authority. And Doc, I don't agree with your assessment that they're a parasitic organization. I just don't. And I just ask that, I know you all are passionate about this. You've been that way for a long time. Bill, to your very point, they have not fundraised and they've not raised the money that they were supposed to. It's been brought to the board has brought it to their attention. It's priority number 1 or number 2 with them. So, I think they continue to identify that. And besides that, what's your plan? What's your plan to run Sports Authority or to run sports events in Joplin? Is it Doug Joyce's job now at Parks and Rec? What's the plan? I mean, there's
City manager's job.
May I respond, Mayor? Number one, the plan is for the city manager, for the Sports Authority, and all funding to be under the direction of the city manager, which is where it should be. Number two, I don't have an agenda, Mike. I never did like the way that it was unfunded. I never liked independent agents taking tax dollars and spending them as they see fit. I don't like that. I just don't like, wait just a minute. I don't like that because I think it's the wrong way to do it. We have a professional city manager here who is better equipped to direct it to somebody else. But in light of what Brian has said, I will withdraw my motion at this point in time, if the second will approve it, so we can have a budget. It's more important to have a budget than it is to do away with the Sports Authority, in my mind.
Very well. That motion or amended motion has been withdrawn, so we're back to the original council bill.
I make a motion to approve the budget. Council Bill 2010-518 be approved on an emergency basis.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Scarce, a second by Ms. Rainey, that Council Bill 2010-518 be approved on emergency basis. Please vote. Please vote.
Please vote,
Everybody.
Who hadn't voted?
Motion passes 9 in favor.